So what does a social monetization strategy look like now for media? That's the question we pose to our next panel. And to lead it, we have MediaPost's own Rob Williams. Rob has been covering publishing for us for many years, but he's also had posts at Beat TV, Industry Dive, Newsmax, and Bloomberg. Rob, welcome.
Thanks, Steve. Good to be here.
Good to see you. I'm just going to get out of your way and let you bring on the panel and talk about how they're really monetizing social now.
That's great. Okay, so I'd like to welcome everyone to today's discussion about monetizing social media. As Steve said, I'm Rob Williams, a contributing editor to MediaPost, and I've spent the past few years looking at ways that publishers can find opportunities for growth amid a period of massive disruption, including in social media. And so today, I'm pleased to be joined by our panelists. First off, we have Megan Neal. Hi there, Megan, wave. Megan is Vice President of Social Media and Content Monetization at MODERATOR, which is one of the most recognized brands in the automotive industry. And we also have Heather Parker. Hi there, Heather. Heather's on video. Good to see you, Heather. We weren't sure if we'd have you on video, but I'm glad to see you. Heather is Senior Marketing Solution Architect at Belo & Company, which is a marketing agency whose parent company also publishes the Dallas Morning News. And today she's going to talk about some interesting marketing programs that other publishers can emulate. So with that, I just wanted to, as background, talk about how much things have changed in the past few years with social media. If we look at a platform, let's say like Facebook, which about 4 years ago, its founder and CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, said he wanted to fix the platform and kind of diminish the presence of publisher content in people's feeds. And a lot of publishers just saw their traffic drop off tremendously. And it was very disruptive. Some smaller publishers whose business was completely dependent on Facebook went out of business. And it was just kind of a dark period. So since then, though, publishers have adapted and looked at other strategies. And that's how I wanted to start off with Megan Neal of MODERATOR to talk about her strategies for social media and how things have changed. And I believe you have some really positive metrics to share with us too.
Yeah, thank you, Robin. Thank you for hosting us today. So certainly, when we think about algorithm changes and how detrimental they are to many publishers and brands, we've developed many strategies over the year to combat those. First and foremost, we maintain extremely positive and close relationships with each one of our platform partners on both the paid and organic side. That helps us get out ahead of any algorithm changes that may happen. They communicate with us early and often. That's strategy number one. Strategy number two, we make really great content. Our audience loves to look at cars, and we really feed those communities. So we enjoy extremely high engagement rates. So for that reason, the platforms definitely reward us with a lot more visibility. We see a high post reach. And then a third strategy we have is we have a partner that we work with called True Anthem, and they're actually an artificial intelligence layer that sits on top of the 250 handles that my team manages and helps to monetize our evergreen and breaking news content.
Maybe you could explain how that works a little bit more with True Anthem and what their role is.
Sure. So they are, like I mentioned, they're artificial intelligence company. We have a pixel that sits on our site that's sort of reading various different publishing times, what content is performing and driving actions on our site. And that artificial intelligence tool powers some of our publishing, which has been a great strategy and proven to be very successful for us.
And let's see, were there any metrics that you had either in terms of traffic or revenue growth that you've seen in the past few years?
Yeah, so I oversee our social team, but I also oversee our content monetization, meaning I work very closely with our ad sales and editorial team. Over the last couple of years, we've actually seen a 200% growth in our monetization efforts in social media, and significant growth also with our YouTube revenue as well, which we sort of consider more digital.
Wow, that's great. Now, let's see, I'd also like to bring it over to Heather to talk about this interesting program you have called Forward DFW in collaboration with the the Dallas Morning News. And what that is it's an opportunity for brands and sponsors to tell their stories about their good deeds to the Dallas-Fort Worth community.
Yes, that's correct. So Dallas-Fort Worth is actually ranked 5th in the nation for charitable giving by dollar amount. And so about 5 years ago, the advertising team at the Dallas Morning News was looking for ways to elevate cause marketing initiatives in Dallas-Fort Worth while also growing revenue. And so they were looking to use all of the different, channels and tactics and owned and operated assets that we have to drive that revenue. And so what it does is it brings communities, causes, and companies together so that those companies can tell their corporate responsibility stories, start conversations, and drive change in 3 primary pillars, which are education, health, and wellness.
And so, and how did you approach sponsors with this idea and get them involved? You have some pretty big brands in there: Frito-Lay, correct, Bank of America. Correct me if I'm wrong. AT&T, some big companies in the Dallas region.
Yes, absolutely. So we launched this initiative in late 2018 with 3, we call them partners. Our partners instead of sponsors were Frito-Lay, Toyota North America, both headquartered in Dallas-Fort Worth, and then also Baylor Scott & White Health, which is the largest healthcare system in Dallas. And so again, a lot of these companies, they have these stories that they want to tell. They're doing all of these great things, in the corporate responsibility, space. And so they want to tell these stories. And so we partner with our content studio to help them create this content. And then they want to be able to reach the affluent, educated, and influential audience of the Dallas Morning News, but they also want to be able to partner with our brand to be able to expand that audience, again, using platforms like social media to expand that reach and to let as many people as possible know, about their good deeds.
Yeah, and I believe you said you had sales, $2 million you brought in for this program for the Dallas Morning News, or is that what it was?
Yes. So the first year, 2019, we had about 1.2 million in revenue. 2020, we had about 1.4 million, and we are forecasting to finish this year at about 1.9 million with 20 sponsors. About 30% of that revenue is attributed to social media. And then we also use video assets, that we have on dallasnews.com and things like YouTube to, also kind of to monetize and distribute that content.
Right. Well, now that's important that you brought up video, because I wanted to ask Megan about Motor Trend's YouTube presence. Sometimes people don't group YouTube in with social media, but there is kind of a community and social sharing element to it, and people getting involved with influencers and content providers and people that they follow on the platform. And I understand that you have 3 or 4 or 3 monetization strategies that you use with YouTube. And I just wanted to hear more about those and how publishers can also get involved.
Sure, Rob. Great question. Yeah, we were a very early adopter of YouTube. We are a premium partner also of YouTube. We have over 6.7 million subscribers. A lot of our advertisers want access to that audience, the very premium audience. a younger audience that is really in the market for buying cars. So yeah, when we think about YouTube monetization, we look at it really in 3 ways. And actually next year, we'll be launching a 4th way of monetization through some digital original programming slate that we're getting ready to launch. But the first is we actually direct sell into our own videos. That's our first path. YouTube sells into our videos, and then we use kind of as Heather was saying, we use we kind of are paired up with our branded content studio where we're doing a lot of production, and we're placing that content on our channel as branded content and amplifying to the correct target audience. That the third one, amplification of our content, that's been one of our largest revenue streams and growth from last year to this year. Oh, Rob, I think you're on mute.
Thank you, Megan, for the tech support there. Okay, my apologies. I just had some background noise. Now with YouTube, I guess I'd mistakenly been under the impression that the main way to monetize through that is through revenue sharing agreements where, you know, YouTube sells the bumper ads and other inserts, but there are other ways that you work directly with sponsors, correct?
Yeah, they do sell through at least under our structure, and as I understand it, most people's structure, they do take a portion of our ad inventory, if you will, and they direct sell it. We sell a portion, and then that third way in the distribution, we sort of are managing all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Heather, you mentioned the branded content studio producing video. Could you talk a bit more about how that works and how you create content for different platforms on behalf of brands?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have our content studio, but we also, for our video production, for Forward DFW in particular, what we have done is we have partnered with a local TV personality to actually pre-produce pre-produce panels that we push to Facebook as a Facebook Live.
Okay.
We have found that is a great way, an easy way for us to monetize video. We actually started doing this with Baylor Scott and White at the start of the pandemic, because that way it was a very easy way for their team to come together, have a panel of physicians, and they would be able to speak to the community. You know, during that time, as we all remember, there was just so much confusion and so much uncertainty. And so we would pre-produce these panels virtually. We would push them to Facebook. We were seeing, you know, audience views of 400 and 500,000. So we were, you know, to, you know, put paid media behind those. And so that's been a really successful component of these forward partnerships, something that we've been continuing.
Oh, that's great. Now, let's see. So we also have some emerging platforms too that have grown in popularity, namely like TikTok and Snapchat. I mean, I've talked to some media buyers who, you know, they're very comfortable partnering with YouTube, Facebook, that kind of thing, because they have the scale. And now slowly are getting into TikTok because now it has that kind of scale. So I was kind of curious what your approach is to some of the newer platforms, particularly since they have a younger audience, and how that lines up with the sponsors you work with, Megan.
Yeah, I enjoy a great environment at MotorTrend. One of the key pillars of my team is that we're first to market and we're constantly innovating. Obviously, our space is just changing every single day, but we've really decided to double down our efforts in a couple of areas of emerging media. Certainly TikTok. We rolled out a strategy about 2 years ago now, roughly, that includes an organic and a paid. We also hook in Nielsen targeting. We were one of the first partners to do that with our TikTok partnership team, so that because some of our advertisers would ask the question, I want to make sure I'm not targeting a 13-year-old girl lip syncing.
Right.
So by layering that targeting in, we're really the experts in making content, and we can expose that content to the exact audience, in-market shopper for a vehicle, now with the scale TikTok has. So we're incredibly proud of the work we've done there. We also more recently have been developing alternate reality filters on Instagram and monetizing those. We just actually launched one yesterday for Lexus. That's pretty cool. And then also we've been doing some work around Instagram sticker packs. And our advertisers have been, it's the way it works, it's through our Giphy partnership. So we've been actually selling those as part of some of our innovative programs.
Yeah, and also, I believe also with Giphy too, you create content for Giphy, is that correct?
Yeah, we do. We have a nice editorial partnership with them. So we create both GIFs and stickers through that partnership. And the most, sort of recognizable way that they're used is on Instagram. Obviously now Giphy and Instagram are all owned by the same conglomerate. So there's a really great integration there, but it can work on Slack and your phone. So suddenly, my social team is thinking about how does that content travel to these other platforms that we may not even necessarily think of as social, like Slack.
And does Giphy provide you metrics with how your contents get shared? And I mean, I suppose the goal is that you have this kind of viral growth where people just include these GIFs in their messages and posts and this and that, and it grows organically as the goal.
Yeah, they do. They have a dashboard where you can kind of see metrics around your content. And then whenever we create this, we also do like a little bit of an instructional guide for our audience where where we're bundling a sticker pack. It's usually around an event that we're producing. So we kind of show people how to search for it, just to create that awareness, and that could, that every time we go to an event, there's going to be associated Motor Trend content that you can use in your UGC. Okay.
Now, so Heather, I'd like to ask you, where do you see things kind of going in the next year or two? Well, with social media, as far as your strategy toward it and what you have lined up, or what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, so we have traditionally with Forward DFW, because of the partnerships that we have, those audiences tend to want to be able to reach kind of more of that traditional newspaper subscriber, whether it's print or digital, right? More affluent, educated, influential audience, right? However, and also Forward has also, we rely heavily on utilizing our owned and operated assets, right? So that's, our print and digital plus video on dallasnews.com, as well as, tending to do the sponsored post and kind of that co-brand, take that co-branded approach, right? But as we are starting to talk with our current partners, new partners, digging in a little bit more about exactly what are all of the audiences that you're wanting to reach. And can we start bringing in more of these social, platforms to help reach younger audiences or different audiences, or just kind of expand reach and frequency, right? We have a tremendous volunteer component for Forward DFW as well. And so we're also talking about how we can better merge the volunteer component with kind of that more traditional, corporate social responsibility component from that corporate side. And we think that that's going to be a great way for us to monetize social more as well.
Okay. And so Megan, and what's on your calendar? I know you do a lot of tentpole kind of promotions or editorial features, like your car of the year. I think you just did SUV of the year and those kinds of things.
I'm here staring at the Statue of Liberty in New York. Beautiful view. We just were in town here we announced yesterday our SUV of the year. We have expanded our of the year awards to 5 this year, including SUV, car of the year, truck of the year, person of the year, and a new category for us, performance vehicle of the year. So those are major tentpole moments for us. We also have a streaming service, so and a large investment in original programming. So we think of shows on our streaming service as well as our linear service. We weave all of that tune in. That last session was kind of all about show promotion. So we find many of those moments where we're launching new freshman series as well. But yeah, that's some of our upcoming content slate.
Okay, that's great. And then, so let's see. So is there any other, are there any other platforms that you're looking at? Any social media platforms that are, you see emerging? I've seen smaller ones out there, but I'm not really sure what's on the radar quite yet, or if there's anything that you're, toying around with or kind of looking at.
Heather, do you want to take that, or do you want me to?
Sure. Why don't we start with Heather? Any emerging platforms that you might be looking at, or?
We are open to, I think, looking at really anything that could be available to any of us, probably like we all are, right? We just want to ensure that anything that we are, any platform that we're using, that we're collaborating with, that it's going to be a good match for our audience, right? And that it's going to help drive whatever, KPIs the client's looking to achieve. So yeah, that's our approach to that.
Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned some of our more recent innovations. We are diving in on a YouTube Shorts strategy right now that we'll be launching. We understand from our partners that that's a strategic priority of both Google and YouTube moving forward. So when you hear words like that, you want to, meaningfully participate. Where we much like Heather, we want to be agile and nimble and adopt platforms, but we also want to do it where it really makes sense. And we like to do that when we have kind of a dedicated and committed partner team. So a lot of innovation happening on TikTok. Great partnership team over there. I can't rave enough about the TikTok team. They came alongside us to help us launch our strategy. And, we continue to, it's not really innovation, but it's a big area for us. We continue to offer live streams. We do at Motor Trend, we do many events throughout the year, live and in-person events, and we've actually started to do those more. And then alongside that, what we've also really launched is we have our official Motor Trend studio. They are really, they power a TV network and a streaming service, and they make incredible branded content, really polished. But one thing that we've really been sort of formulating and executing over the last, really during a lot of the pandemic and moving forward, is a lot of my team is out. They go out and are deployed to create content. That's part of my role here in New York this week. But really that social first production. And those are people that create for the brand all day, every day. We consider them more editorial, but they will be deployed to our clients, their events, if there's a reveal. And we're really capturing that, content that's native to the platform. So Instagram Reels, TikTok. So that's been some of our more recent efforts.
Yeah, about a year ago, it seemed very touch and go with TikTok, that it faced the threat of being banned in this country. At that time, did you see people pulling back or saying, all right, hey, why don't we take a moment and see if this platform even exists in the United States or not?
Yeah, I mean, I've de facto become the TikTok resident expert. I've had to field many questions from many of our clients and internal sales teams. We did sessions with our internal sales teams to, equip them. I come alongside our sales team as they take these products to market as that subject matter expert. But, I think the questions have certainly, they've kind of simmered down a little bit. A lot of our partners are nervous about creating for TikTok, that they are afraid that they're going to enter the conversation in a not authentic way. So they've been looking to us as a partner to do that. And so, yeah, I mean, we still continue to answer the questions, but I think engagement on the platform is just so incredible. And if we can be that partner solution, that's where we'd like to play.
Yeah, you raise a good point there with brand safety concerns. And same question for you, Heather. Just what your conversations are like with advertisers, about social media and the presence there, and what you need to address with them.
So we have a handful of clients that I work with directly, right, where brand safety is, extremely important to them. And so for us, it's doing our best to align, those folks with the content that could be considered brand safe, right? The conversations with something that we can't directly control, right? That, it's harder to be able to manage that, right? Like when we've got, for example, I mean, we have a major grocer that's one of our sponsors, and there's been some, kind of some significant national news that's happened with grocery and, some different things like that we've really had to kind of jump in and manage, on many levels. And we just communicate, kind of across our teams to make sure that we are, kind of controlling that advertising, near the messaging where appropriate.
Okay. And so forward DFW is, that's going to continue into next year and beyond, or what's the plan for it as far as you can see?
Yeah, again, it is, because, DFW, again, like I said, it's ranked 5th in the country for charitable giving. And so there is also in Dallas Fort Worth, like any other, major city in the country, there's also a lot of people in need. Right. And so we are continuing to, try to find partners that are going to support this initiative. They're going to tell their story. So many of these companies are doing so many great things, in particular around food insecurity. South Dallas really is a food desert. And so there's a lot of stories that are being told around how partners are coming alongside these nonprofit organizations in these areas of need. And so we're just, continuing to try to, again, bring those companies and those causes together to positively impact the communities that we serve.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Steve, you're breaking in.
We want to make sure before we wrap, I want to make sure that we get an audience question in about staffing.
Okay.
And how you guys are actually, if at all, your social staffs are reorganizing or being placed differently in the organizations from, say, when they were primarily driving traffic to publishers just a few years ago. Have you reorganized, and do you staff differently? Are they placed within the organizations differently now than they had been?
Yeah, I can take that question from the Motor Trend section. My team is sort of, it's divided up, although we're under one org as a center of excellence, but I have a portion of my team that's just focused on driving our programming. Again, and that may be to our linear channel or linear network channel, cable television channel, and that may be to our SVOD service. So they're focused on show integrations, driving tune in, working with our talent. We do a lot of stuff with our talent in that area. and amplifying that programming. And then I have another portion of my team. They're just the content creators. They just are out there telling the stories all day, every day. They sit beside our editorial team. They amplify every effort they're doing. And they are storytellers. And then I have a third portion of my team that are considered social campaign managers. So that is really working with our ad sales team to, when programs come in with a partner where we're doing co-branded content or custom content for them, they're managing those programs from, and that may include social first production. So my team is certainly organized around the various different priorities that we have at Motor Trend and how to best serve each of
So
those.
it's really specialized. It's become much more specialized than it was just 4 or 5 years ago when, the 20-year-old who knew how to do Twitter was running social for everybody. How about you, Heather?
Yeah, so we have a paid media team that's on our agency side. On the agency side, we also have our content studio. And again, that's the team that is primarily collaborating with the advertising side as well as the marketing side on, the paid and the organic post. And so that marketing team is also typically the group that's collaborating with our newsroom as well on any of those co-branded initiatives. So we also have people that sit in several different rooms in the house, shall we say.
Well, Heather, Megan, and of course, Rob, thank you so much. A great discussion with a lot of good ideas and tips. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us today.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.